Well, we're finally back as it's now time for Week 9 of the 2021 DCFL season as we're officially halfway through the season. So when we last left off in Week 8, here's the updated standings as the Indianapolis Rabbit Stallions were still 8-0 with the 2-game lead over the Jacksonville Scouts at 6-2, and then the New York Gangsters have the tiebreak over the Philadelphia Sonics at 4-4, and the Western Conference, the Chicago Staleys after starting off 0-3 are now 5-3 leading the Western Conference, with the Oakland Pillagers and Tacoma Slashers the last two wildcard spots at the moment. So now it's time to get ready for the Week 9 games. As you see, it's going to start off with my Baltimore Charm at the New York Gangsters, then the Boston Redcoats, or Red Jackets at the Indianapolis Rabbit Stallions. Then it'll be a big one as the Jacksonville Scouts visit the Philadelphia Sonics. Then the Western Conference matchups are the last place teams, Kansas City Arrowheads at the San Diego Mean Green Machines. Then a big one in the Western Conference as the Tacoma Slashers visit the Oakland Pillagers. And wrapping up with the Chicago Staleys at the Seattle Tenyo. And after the Week 9 games, as we take a look at them, starting off with Baltimore and New York. New York had a 16-7 lead, dominating Baltimore, but then in the second half, Baltimore dominated, completely destroying New York to win the game 35-23 to end my Charm's 3-game losing streak to get to 4-5, as New York falls to 4-5. Meanwhile, Boston at Indianapolis. Indianapolis actually had a little bit of trouble at first against Boston, but then in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, though, they ran away with it as they won it 46-23 to get to 9-0, the first team with a winning record, as Boston now last place completely in the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, Jacksonville, Philadelphia, it ended up being a surprise defensive struggle as Jacksonville barely won it 16-13, and they had to stop since Philadelphia from possibly tying up or winning it. Like, it was really close because they're now 7-2 as Philadelphia falls to 4-5. Then the last place matchup, Kansas City at San Diego. San Diego destroyed Kansas City 27-6 as they now won 2 in a row to get the 3-6, as now Kansas City officially has the worst record in the league at 2-7. Remember they started off the year 2-1 and looked pretty solid? How much time has changed since? Then the Western Conference matchup, Tacoma at Oakland. Tacoma shut out Oakland 19-0 as it was their defense doing all the work, as this was just an all-defensive matchup, as they're now 5-4 as Oakland falls to 4-5. And then finally, Chicago at Seattle. This was an offensive game at the start as Seattle led 20-17 going to halftime, but after that each team just got a field goal and Seattle won it 23-20 as they are now 4-5 as Chicago has now lost, means ended their 5-game winning streak as they're now fallen to 5-4. Alright, so then here is the updated standings. As we see now, the Indianapolis Rabbit Stallions still have their 2-game leads. They're now 9-0 as Jacksonville's still second place at 7-2. New York has the tiebreaker over Baltimore and Philadelphia for that third spot in the playoffs, and then Philadelphia has a tiebreaker over Baltimore, as Baltimore's still 5th place and Boston dead last in the 6th seed. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, Chicago still has the number 1 seed over the tiebreaker over Tacoma, as Tacoma's the 2nd seed, and Oakland has a tiebreaker over Seattle as their 3rd place. Seattle's 4th. San Diego moves up to the 5th seed as Kansas City is now last place, not only in the Western Conference, but in the entire league. And believe it or not, I have to look up the math on it. It's very possible that next week, if Indianapolis wins and Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, or New York, if 3 of those 4 teams lose, Indianapolis might have a playoff spot clinched with 6 games to go. But not fully sure about that, but that is within possibility maybe. Alright, so then here we go. Look at the Week 10 schedule as it'll start off with Baltimore at Chicago, a big matchup. Then Tacoma at Indianapolis, that'll be a big matchup. Then Seattle visiting Jacksonville, that's another big matchup. Then after that will be New York at Kansas City, Boston at Oakland, and finally wrap it up with Philadelphia at San Diego. Alright, we're now down to the final 7 weeks of the season. Hope to get this done eventually soon. So see you guys next time for Week 10.